2003. She's the author of 2 books, Marrying the Beret, The Untold Stories of U.S. Special Operations, Bringing Them Home, The Untold Cost of Putting Missions First. She is an Air Force vet, born in California, lives in Florida. Please welcome to the program Representative Paulina Luna from Florida.
Hey, Larry. Happy to be back. Thank you so much for having me on.
Congresswoman, it is my pleasure. Before we get into the ceasefire deal, I call it a ceasefire deal rather than a peace deal, tell us about this meeting you have with a special envoy to the president of Russia later on this month.
Yeah, so we are simply trying to do exactly what President Trump is doing in opening up those lines of communication, as well as supporting the president's mission to bring peace and end the war in Ukraine. And that starts with opening, again, those lines of communication with the Russian government. You know, Larry, I have been charged with a task force that also is looking into the JFK assassination. And what I will tell you is several months back, I actually met with the ambassador to Russia. And he told me, Larry, he goes, you know, you're the first member of Congress to meet with me since the 90s. And I say that, or meet with the Russian government since the 90s, and I say that to point out the fact that there is no reason why we need to be at odds with the Russian government. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, we're going to bend over backwards to you know, roll out the red carpet. But what I will tell you is my whole goal and objective is to, again, foster that relationship. And hopefully, instead of war, we can have not just a peace deal, but then also open up trade as well.
Congresswoman, it seems to me that in the last couple of weeks or so, President Trump has altered his position on the Ukraine-Russia war. I think he thought initially that he was going to be able to solve this because of his relationship with Putin. I think he's realized that that's not the case, and he seems now far more supportive of Ukraine taking back territory. Is that your assessment of it as well?
You know, I think these things tend to ebb and flow with negotiations. But earlier today and even yesterday, he said that he's thinking that he'll be reaching a peace deal with Russia and Ukraine. And what I will also tell you is that conflict, even from the get-go, you know, back under the Biden administration, it was actually the UK government that told Ukraine not to take a peace deal with Russia. And so what I would say is because of that failed foreign policy from the Biden administration's perspective, it irresponsibly continued a war. And so it is, in a sense, our obligation to help end it. And so that's exactly why we're opening up these lines of communication. But what I will also tell you is that I think President Putin today, in issuing statements and even yesterday about how good President Trump did with this peace deal with Russia, with Israel and Gaza, that in itself, he's showing that he supports the president's positions. And I will also say that, you know, behind the scenes, there's a lot that happens. And I'm hopeful that President Trump will again be called the president of peace and be able to accomplish this. Regarding
the ceasefire deal, Congresswoman, even people in the legacy media are praising him. Al Sharpton even said that the president deserves credit.
Oh yeah, it's Al Sharpton. It's even the Washington Post, and I think that there are many people, to include myself, that are calling for him to be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize as well.
You have credited Charlie Kirk with your election. Talk to us about your relationship with Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, of course. So I was actually recruited by Charlie to join Turning Point USA as the National Hispanic Outreach Director, and I ultimately ended up actually deciding not to go to medical school and joining the organization as an activist. And then I obviously did not win my first election, but during my second election, he supported me both times. And then the day Barack Obama dropped a robocall on me to actually help my Democrat opponent, Charlie actually came down, did this amazing event. And when I saw how many people were showing up, you know, you can always tell in an election when you're going to win based on the amount of grassroots support you have. And I saw hundreds and hundreds of people show up. I think actually the crowd is probably over 1,000, to be honest with you. And Charlie was right there with me on stage. And from that time forward, I mean, we started doing our college campus tours together. It was actually me, him, and Candace Owens, and Brandon Tatum as well. And, you know, he went more into, you know, Turning Point's literally exploding into like an international movement and grassroots organization that helps really educate young people against the dangers of Marxism and socialism. And even to the point of a couple weeks before he was assassinated, you know, I would call Charlie, talk with him about what was happening on the Hill. He would advise me. I was down with him at the Student Action Summit here in Tampa, Florida. And so we are going to make sure that we continue his legacy, but my goodness, do we miss him every day.
Congressman, we only have a few minutes left. Talk to us about the politics of the shutdown. Is this a Democrat shutdown?
Oh, 100%. Larry, this entire thing, to be clear, we wanted a clean CR. We don't want to create any loopholes that allow these people that are here illegally to tap into basically our healthcare system, and that's exactly what's happening. And frankly, it's pretty abhorrent that, right now, instead of opening the government, you see what President Trump's able to do from a foreign policy perspective. You see that President Trump was able to literally save the WIC program because the WIC program was going to literally be completely empty and out of funds for a lot of people that need it in this country. And President Trump was able to kind of reallocate some of the funds from these reciprocal tariffs that he has, the tariff revenue. But it's really awful to see. And what I will tell you is this type of politicking is exactly why the American people do not like Congress. Well, exactly why we have such a low approval rating. So I'm hoping that he's able to negotiate this and that they get realistic with their policy goals and objectives and put the American people first.
Congressman, we have a little more than a minute left. I mentioned that you are an Air Force vet. I've been reading about your background. You weren't exactly raised on third base and thought you hit a triple. If what I'm reading about your background is accurate, you've had a pretty rough upbringing.
Yeah, I grew up within the welfare system. My dad was in and out of jail. By the time I had graduated from high school, I had gone to over 6 high schools, one of which there was a gang shooting on campus. I mean, I saw a lot, but I am living proof that the American dream is still here. If you work hard and you make the right decisions, you can literally come up from where I did and end up in the halls of Congress.
How do you like living in Florida?
Florida is the best state. It truly is the best state in the country.
Well, I'm still in California. As you know, somebody's got to turn out the lights. Real quickly, why did you join the Air Force?
I joined the Air Force because I had this dream of going to college, and I didn't know how to pay for it. And I overheard 2 young men talking about the military, and I ultimately, was of the 9/11 generation. I said, you know what, I want to serve my country. If it comes with college in the process, I'll do it. And I actually ended up putting myself through college, my undergrad, by joining the service. So best decision I ever could have made, highly recommend it.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.